Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Doo.
On this episode of the History of the Course podcast with Curtis and Josh, we finish our look at the band from El Segundo, California, known as The Ghost Inside. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at IsSurvivedByPro for news and latest episode postings. And make sure to subscribe to the show, leave us a 5-star review, and write us a comment on YouTube or whatever podcast service you're using. And if you'd like to see us do some live streams, leave us a comment or tweet us the keyword stream. Now, without further ado, let's start the show.
The devil is in Atlanta. Army surrounded.
From the ashes brought back to life, this is the new sound of sacrifice. Today I woke up to a brand new me, free from the times of tragedy. 4 years to find clarity, and now I'm right where I am meant to be. Welcome back to the History of the Chorus podcast, sponsored by the Church of Seven Track, where each and every episode we take a look at the history of a band from the core genre. I'm Curtis, and with me, as always, is the cameraman, my co-host. Whoa, he's showing too much. Josh. Oh, a little lower. Little beautiful. Those hands are pretty dry. Oh boy. Jeez. Good enough.
All right, that works. That'll work.
There's a little bit in the corner there, but I think it'll get cut off, to be honest with you, with the overlay, the beautiful overlay.
Fantastic.
What's up, Josh?
What up? Just celebrating the victory over here.
Yes, the victory, the sweet, sweet tears. I've had my fill today. Thank you, Toronto. You suck. As always.
You guys
I
suck.
saw, dude,
Get
I
outta
saw
here.
I saw a picture, a meme today. I think I've seen it before, but it's like it's the two guys that usually present the Stanley Cup, and they've got like their white gloves on and everything, and it's a golf bag that's got Toronto's logo on it, and it's like them presenting the golf bag to the team.
Nice.
Because that's the joke is like when you lose, it's like you're going to the golf course for the summer,
Yeah.
But yeah. Take it away, Josh, because apparently you had something for me.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we don't have any housekeeping or anything. I guess there's no
we're all open. We're all open,
there's
buddy.
no after hours.
There's no after hours, man. We're free.
All right. Well, I was just gonna ask you, Curtis, have you seen any of this stuff? I see it pop up all the time, and it's similar to they made the merch that said "Keep Hockey Violent."
Mhm.
And I see that a lot now on different music pages, and it'll say "Keep Hardcore Negative." Have you ever
Okay.
seen that?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I feel like I see it a lot, like advertisement
Okay.
for merch like that.
Interesting.
And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because in my head,
So hardcore is like positive.
well, it's at least more uplifting.
Right.
It's a more positive outlook. It's not a negative outlook.
Right. We've always talked about the deal of what the difference between punk and hardcore. Punk is just basically stating a problem and that's it. Whereas hardcore took that problem and provides a solution to it to rise from the ashes, basically. To
Yeah.
see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's when you said that I was like, am I missing something? Because that doesn't keep hardcore negative.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, what's the meaning there? I don't get it.
And the only bands I could think of that were like that would fall into a vein like that would be more of what I would call like new metal, but like new hardcore.
Okay.
Um,
Like who?
and
Sworn in.
I, yeah, okay. Yeah, but I don't even know if I would. They're not hardcore.
Yeah. That's like,
Like when
is
I
that
and
metalcore?
it's hard to come up with an example of a band, but yeah, it's metalcore.
Okay. Yeah, I
It's
was trying
hard
to
to come
remember.
up with an example of a band because every hardcore band, like real hardcore band that I think of,
It's like the
doesn't
real here, the
doesn't
real
fall
deal.
into that.
Right.
So, but yeah, I just want to get your opinion on that. I see that a lot, and I feel like a lot of stupid people are just like, yeah,
Yeah, I think I've seen like either like it'll say like keep metal music brutal or like heavy music brutal or something brutal.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never seen the hardcore one like you're
Yeah,
talking
keep
about. Uh,
hardcore negative. It never was.
yeah.
How could you keep it
What?
negative?
Right, exactly. How do you keep something that never was?
You've
Weird.
lost me. You lost
You've
me.
lost us, buddy. Yeah, you do not have our stamp of approval. So, all right. Nice question. Thank you, Josh. Round of applause for Josh. Thank you for bringing that to the group. We appreciate you sharing that this week at the anonymous meeting. All right, Josh. It's time for our weekly what did you listen to? I'll go ahead and give you mine real quick. The Sound of Silence. Nothing.
Chirp,
No,
chirp, chirp, chirp.
this is a podcast week for me. So onward and upward to you, Josh.
Wah, wah. Well, Curtis, I'll tell you, I need to find myself a support group because I've got a real problem here, my friend.
Jeez
Got
Louise.
on my left here, I have a real problem.
Go look back at it like like it's a weather map.
I
We got a
I
big
don't know what
storm
to do
front right
about
here.
this. I don't know what to do about this. I'm right back where I was at like 17, 18 years old.
Oh
Like
boy.
I just discovered this band all over again. And I
Is that why
think,
you're wearing your septum? You're like, I gotta go backwards in time here, man.
oh yeah, I've traveled backwards in time.
What about your
Um,
fingernails? Are they black again?
no, not this week.
Ah, okay. That was just AFI. Okay.
Yeah, that was just for AFI. I was channeling my inner Davey
You lived
Havok.
through the yeah, that's
I was
you
just
living
in
through the
there.
music. Oh my God.
Um, yeah. I think I'm falling so hard back into this because this time around there's so much more to go on and a lot more of
Right.
the story has been released and
Hmm.
I never fully dove in on the story before and now I'm in there.
Well, and it's in
So
2024 too. It's fully accessible. Whereas, when did Good Apollo come out?
like
Like to the
2006,
six,
5.
five? I mean, yeah, internet was still pretty young. You know,
Yeah.
iPhone wasn't even invented yet.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah.
So yeah, I am fully in on the story here. I had never listened to obviously, the top two here are my most listened to Coheed albums, Silent Earth and Good Apollo. No World for Tomorrow. That was one that I feel like always I was just kind of never 100% in on. This time around, with a lot more of the story, I'm all in on this one. Year of the Black Rainbow, went back and did that one again a few times.
Nice, nice.
There's a lot more going on with that one, yeah, that I didn't really know before. And then I've never listened to the one at the bottom here that you
Yeah,
can't
what is
really
that?
see very well.
Ugh.
It's The Afterman, and this one is Ascension. This one, the story is kind of about a scientist within Heaven's Fence
Hmm.
who is trying to get through kind of to the other side. And he finds these different levels of like souls trapped with each. It it's gonna get too convoluted here, but um,
You've
the main
lost me
part
already.
the main part of that story is that his wife dies when he comes back. His wife dies, and his final mission is to make sure her soul makes it through those different levels to the one where they're all at peace. Because he
Right.
encounters all these crazy spirits and monsters like in these different levels. So, but yeah, that was an interesting one. I haven't finished that one completely. I think I still have 2 or 3 tracks left on it, but
Okay. Okay.
so yeah, I'm gonna find a support group because I've got an addiction.
Gaze upon your mess for us. Just gaze upon it.
Yeah.
Look at the mess you've created. Mm.
And then Curtis,
Man.
I did not listen to
You
Live at the
watch
Church.
it, buddy. You
I watched
watched
it
it. He
because
lived
that
it.
is the only way to take
Hmm.
this in.
Hmm.
I was in there
Hmm.
for this whole thing. I was feeling it.
Were you surprised
Um,
by the set list? You and I talked about the set
I
list.
was surprised by the set list, but it worked for me.
It was good. Yeah, it's still
Like
good. It's just
it would have been cool to hear him play, The Rising End
right.
or
Yeah.
but I don't know. It was kind of cool that they only played their deep tracks.
Well, I'm just surprised that they didn't do more of like we're gonna play like at least a song from every album because I told you they didn't play anything from Funeral of God.
Right.
They didn't play anything from. I don't think they played anything from. Um, oh my gosh, what's the one right after? Fear is what keeps us here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they played anything off of Parade, if I remember correctly. I know
Okay.
the first two for sure. So I'm just kind of surprised that they didn't do like, hey, we're gonna play in this set list, we're gonna play at least one song from every one of our albums. Doesn't have to, I mean, I'm fine with like the deep tracks. Like it would have been cool like if they played like Lesser Lights of the Heaven or something like that off of, Funeral or I don't know. It's hard to shake with a gun in your mouth or whatever off of, Funeral or Fear, or something like that. But yeah, I'm just kind of surprised they didn't just kind of like spread it more across the board. Um,
Yeah. uh,
but
as you're like naming songs, though, I'm like picturing them in that setting
right,
and like the way they've got everything set up, the gear they're using, and I feel like it was strategic to go with a lot of the songs that they did.
right,
Um, More of a jammy vibe out of a lot of those songs. A little creepier, a little darker, less radio hitty. A lot of those songs don't really have like mainstream hooks, like
right.
something like The Rising End or The Lesser
Okay,
Lights of Heaven. You know, th- a lot of those songs are just the deep cut.
right.
So I
Yeah.
really, I really enjoyed it, dude. I loved it. I just
Favorite
popped it
favorite
on
track off of
and
there?
I don't know. I'd have to go through and look at it
Yeah, that's all
because
right.
I just rolled through the whole thing and it's one
Where
of
does
those
it?
things where you're just in and out and
Yeah, where does it rank in your live albums?
oh God, it's up there.
You think it's up there?
Yeah. God, dude, more bands need to do this. Like when they
Yeah,
record a live album, don't go to let's not do a venue. There's too much like background noise, there's too much crowd noise.
right.
Um I would love to see more live albums like this where it's just a one take, you know, and it was clean, dude. It was
Oh,
incredibly
it was
clean,
yeah, it was well
especially for
produced. Yeah,
Zayo.
yeah,
Well, I just mean like the way they were
right.
playing through everything. Like I only noticed a couple times where there are a couple little mess ups, and yeah, I just think it was really well done overall.
Nice. Yep, it's a good
Definitely
album,
worth
man.
waiting for. I was, had really hoped that when they talked about a new Zayo album that we were getting something new, but
Well, I
this
mean,
worked just as
it-
good for me.
yeah, you did realize that they recorded that back in like I think back in like either 2019 or 2020.
Oh,
And
really?
they've held on to that for a while.
Oh, okay.
Why, I'm not really sure. Um, but even at that, I was gonna say, yeah, we're 3 years removed
Well,
from Crimson Corridor,
yeah.
you know. So it's hopefully because that's about the timing of between Crimson Corridor and Well
Well
Intentioned Virus. It
intentions.
was
Yeah.
4 years. So we're right on the the edge there of possibly getting another one. So hopefully, you know. Hopefully this is kind of like a prequel, just kind of like
I'll
put it
cross
out
my
there to kind of
fingers.
yeah, my toes too, man. Yeah. So anything else, Josh, before we move on?
No, no, I don't think so.
Gaze upon your mess one more time for us. I need help, man. I need help.
I just need help.
Look, Josh, it's the first step to recovery, okay? Is admitting you have a problem. So we're proud of you for doing that, for taking the first step, okay?
I can't
We'll get
stop,
there.
dude. The writer kills and the writer kills Ambelina and Jesse
Uh,
dies too. And then he tells Claudio that he has to destroy the universe.
oh my goodness. One of these days that episode's coming, man.
It's coming.
Josh is gonna binge like crazy.
Ah.
Right. All righty, Josh. Let's finish our look at the band known as The Ghost Inside. Yeah. All righty,
Ooh.
where we last left off. Current lineup was Jonathan Vigil on vocals, Aaron Brooks on guitar, Zach Johnson on guitar, Jim Riley on bass, and Andrew Takazik on drums. The band was touring worldwide in support of their newest release, 2012's Get What You Give. A quick turnaround saw the band start to write new material while on tour to be released on their next full-length album. Before we get to that album though, Josh, real quick, because we mentioned it at the beginning of the last episode, let's give some appreciation for the ability that this band has to turn out music quick. Up to this point, we're talking, every 2 years, basically, we're getting a brand new album,
Let
and
us
it's
give
not just
thanks.
like, yeah, let us give thanks, 2014's Dear Youth, which was behind Josh, but he's still gazing upon his mess. So,
Dear
uh,
Youth is the most stick to your guns sounding album title I've ever heard.
that does, and the album artwork kind of goes along with that. I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know. From Epitaph Records, once again produced by a Day to Remember vocalists Jeremy McKinnon and Andrew Wade. This is the last album for founding member Aaron Brooks on guitar. It peaked at number 6 on the Billboard US Top Hard Rock Albums chart, number 9 on the US Independent Albums chart, number 15 on the US Top Rock Albums chart, and number 63 on the Billboard 200. Author, have you tried jamming Hellcarax from SputnikMusic.com? Wrote, wrote a review of the album, quote, "The Ghost Inside is one of the current frontrunners of the metalcore scene, along bands like Bullet for My Valentine, Parkway Drive, etc., etc." Formerly known as A Dying Dream, The Ghost Inside has been branding their own style of moderately generic bad boy metalcore since 2004.
The
Coming off
Bad
the album,
Boys.
yeah, kind of weird, Bad Boy Core. Coming off the album, Get What You Give, it can be safely said that they actually do this really well. The screams packed a mean punch, and the riffs were amazing for simple enjoyment and headbanging. The album was simple, blunt, and just an overall great record for letting off some steam. So, how does Dear Youth fare? Actually, surprisingly well. Just like any The Ghost Inside record, the album kicks off with a furious lead for a song, something to immediately grab the listener. It's time to pull through something I must do with or without you. This is one of the lines off of the first track, Avalanche. The line is cliche, but it is too demanding to ignore, which the entire album does a great job of doing, demanding attention. The vocals are harsh and enraged, but don't overshadow the lyrics of the track. The track isn't technical, and the whole album is far from being technical as well, but everything is delivered with such a passion and even nostalgia that it becomes hard to ignore, especially on the title track, Dear Youth. As for the actual content of the music, most of what is offered is plain Jane riffs and drumming, which is a double edged sword on this album. Everything is played too safe to be all too memorable, but it stops any tracks from stooping to rock bottom. The drums roll alongside the guitar and vocals, and the guitar is half unnecessary breakdowns. The small number of breakdowns that feel necessary and add to the tracks are, however, badass and get your blood pumping. Even despite this, however, the album offers an immediate sort of satisfaction. The lyrics and choruses are cheesy, but they are infectiously catchy. And while some do slip under the where did I go? Catchier tracks, even those tracks are enough to warrant a few playthroughs in your own head. I'd really say the only tracks that offers any sort of content besides being catchy and vague enough to be relatable are Wide Eyed and Phoenix Flames, with Wide Eyed offering surprise cleans by the vocalist of Let Live, and Phoenix Flames breaking the verse chorus breakdown chorus setup and actually offering some violin to mellow out the ending. The former track, Wide Eyes, unfortunately is awkward, simply because the melody is seemingly out of nowhere, although it is nice that the Ghost Inside tried adding variety. In summary, I can't say that the album is amazing, but it's among the best of generic breakdown based metalcore you will find. It fits a safe niche that, albeit, is already a bit constricting. It manages to work with well. The album is passionate and full of cheesy but catchy one-liners that allow what is happening? That allows you to blow off steam even if they don't do much more. Is he being a bad boy?
Yeah, he jumped up in my lap.
Tisk, tisk, tater. Songs on this album include Avalanche, Move Me, Out of Control, With the Wolves, Mercy, Phoenix Flame, Dear Youth, Day 52, Wide Eyes, featuring Jason Butler, Let Live, My End Note, The Other Half, and the finale, Blank Pages. You described Dear Youth, Josh. There he is again. What is wrong with him? He's an ornery one tonight. You described Dear Youth as, would you say, the most nice, the most, hello, Tater, the most stick to your gun sounding album, in your opinion?
Yes, I would say musically and the
That
title
tail in your
of the
face.
album. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
musically and the title.
So, what did you think of Dear Youth overall, Josh?
I like it. I think out of the three, it's probably going to be my favorite. And
Okay.
just because I think it holds true to the sound of their previous albums,
Right.
at least the most out of these three that we're going to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, because it kind of things get different like after the accident, you know?
Right. Mhm.
It doesn't seem, I don't know, it kind of seems like they start to go a different direction a little bit. Um, and I don't know if I want to bash it too much because sometimes There's a difference between a band making a conscious choice that, hey, we're going to do this now because it's popular or whatever,
Right.
and the music just kind of taking you more in that direction.
Mm,
And I think there's probably an argument to be made for the latter, with the Ghost Inside.
yeah.
But and I also saw that, like, I think the tuning, I don't think it starts with Dear Youth, but I think the tuning for these last two albums is drop F sharp.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because you have to take in consideration that after this album, the only original member that's left is the vocalist. So now you're talking about having brand new guitarist, a brand new drummer. So in terms of like what you're saying with the tuning, that wouldn't surprise me. Um, but the other thing too that we end up, I mean, we've heard a little bit of cleans here and there, especially off the last album, and then floating into this one. But especially once you get to their newest album, oh my gosh, I mean, I would say it's about 75-25 uncleans to cleans, but they add a lot more cleans compared to everything else in their discography, you know. So
Yeah.
there's that too with their sound. To me, this overall, after listening to the whole discography, I definitely lean more towards the first half of their discography, that we talked about in the first episode.
Oh yeah,
Not
no
that
doubt.
there's anything bad in my opinion on these three albums. It just feels like in my opinion, we get to Dear Youth, and this is where it just starts feeling like repetitive. It's that kind of um oh I had a word and I've lost it. But it's kind of your regular metalcore at this time, and I feel like they kind of lean into not the narrative, but just like what metalcore becomes. It's like they don't kind of separate themselves. They're just kind of in that group. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. When before it really felt like they stood apart.
Right. And they were I'm at a loss for words tonight. My mind is somewhere else apparently.
Oh my God,
Um
dude, you can't be up here.
they were they were basically leaders is what I'm trying to say early on,
Yeah.
you know. Um but yeah, it feels like you're getting to this point. And of course, it may be a thing too where it's like you lose 4 years of your life basically with the accident that some others kind of take over, take the lead, and you just kind of like fall back in line,
Yeah.
But I feel like too in like metalcore, it's gotten to the point where like what can you do that sets you apart? What can you do that's like
Nothing.
different? And it's really nothing,
Nothing.
you know. So, and that's
No.
tough. That
Yeah,
sucks.
it's all been done.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Um, it's probably going to be an unpopular opinion with you and a few other people, but for me, this album compares a lot to Disobedient, from
Okay.
Stick to Your Guns for me. That's the point where, like, I enjoy the album, but I can feel that, like, we're starting to run out of what this was,
Ideas.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they'd are because uh, I know that they've said that they feel like um Diamond, Disobedient, like that was like kind of the start of a new era for them.
Yeah.
But for me, that era felt like it had already started with Hope Division.
Right.
So in my head, it's Hope Division, Diamond, and Disobedient. And to me, that era is pretty much over. Like now we're just kind of running back like some of the same formula from Disobedient for the next couple of albums. And True View, I feel like was able to kind of get out of that fog a little bit, but that just kind of felt like a one-off because that most recent one, like I listened to a little bit of, but I was just not really feeling.
There was, yeah, I remember I haven't listened to the whole thing of Spectre, but I've listened to like some of the singles that dropped, and it was like, yeah, this is not because you know me, True View is probably I mean, Diamond and True View are probably my two favorite. True View is probably just a little bit higher. Um, but yeah, coming off of True View and then coming out with Spectre is kind of like, yeah, the little bit that I heard, it was like, yeah, this just doesn't feel right. But
Yeah. But I mean, I still enjoy Dear Youth.
yeah,
It's like we said, you're just starting to feel the turn a little bit. And I wonder what might have happened, and if they would have continued down the same path that they end up had the accident not happened.
right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that that path if the accident wouldn't have happened, like you're saying.
Yeah, if they still would have
Um,
gravitated this direction,
right.
but
Yeah. Like I said, I don't really have like a problem with any of these three albums. But they and I've used the phrase before about it's just another album to me. And it just I mean it fits the genre. It's not terrible, but it just doesn't pop out to me. It just all kind of sounds the same, you
yeah,
know.
it's
So I
it's oh God. Well, what was it December Underground they said that about, or was
oh my
it
gosh, the well, they it was in between December
no?
Underground and Crash Love,
Okay, yeah,
the album that would be remembered for. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Crash Love uh coming in because how how do you write an album that's going to top or even be on the same level as Give What You Get
Right. Is it Give What You Get? I thought it
or
was Get What
Get
You
Get What
Give.
You Give.
Okay, Bessa, don't do that to me.
Every like 3 or 4 times I say it, I feel like I say it backwards.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I think that every time I say it.
Um,
Oh man.
yeah, how do you write an album that tops that?
Right. Yeah, no, that's tough, man. It's a hard one to follow.
Yeah.
I did like, and I am checking to make sure that I did hear it correctly, but let me make sure here. Just to make sure. 'Cause I don't wanna be wrong.
The cover of Searching for Solace makes me think of Westworld
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
with the maze.
Yeah. Man, I thought they did. Wait. Hmm. I could have swore in Wide Eyed that they kind of did a callback to their original band name, but now I'm not seeing it in the lyrics.
Oh wait, which one is Wide Eyed on?
Dear Youth,
Okay. Is
with
it
the one with Let Live vocalist.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But I don't see it in the lyrics here.
I
Legend
mean, it's like a
Trail.
call out, so
Yeah. Hmm. Weird.
I'll
Anyway,
see if I can find it.
okay. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. That they did that. Like, oh, nice, nice. And a little callback, little shout out. But anyway, all right, moving on, onward and upward. A few months after release of the album, the band would part ways with founding member Aaron Brooks, which left vocalist Jonathan Vigil as the last remaining founding member. In the meantime, the band would carry on as a four-piece, adding Texas in July guitarist Chris Davis to help out on tour in support of their newest album, later becoming a full-time member.
Yeah, you said Dying Dream, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Okay.
He's like, you remember Dying Dream? He's like, you remember when people didn't think we were gonna be anything? Curtis,
not
I'm
gonna
glad
be
you brought up
anything.
this song because we're not going any further. You're not saying another word until
Hello.
I talk about this song.
Okay, let's hear
I
it.
forgot about this song and I forgot
Okay.
how enraged I got listening to it earlier.
Okay.
Um, I hate songs like this.
Okay.
I hate songs where they bring in another guy from another band and they have this douchey little look at how cool we are now. Maddie, whatever
Oh,
his name
jeez.
is from Memphis
You don't have to say any
Mayfire,
more. Just Maddie.
and Kellen Quinn are two
Ooh.
of the most insufferable assholes when they're together. And I like that's
Oh man.
exactly what
Why
this
don't you
made me
like
think of.
why
That
don't you
what
throw like Craig Owens and Johnny Craig in there too, man?
yeah, that's a pretty
Holy
rough
crap.
combo.
Holy crap, that'd be a terrible quartet.
Um let me check real quick. The song I'm thinking of where the two of them are together.
Oh gosh.
I know
I mean,
the album.
I'm not gonna lie, Jason Butler seems like he'd be pretty douchey.
I'm pretty sure it was on Legacy.
Okay. Hmm.
I think
Uh,
Adam. I'll figure it out, but it's the one that's like I can't remember the line, but they're basically just like I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. They're basically just
yes.
hyping
Ah,
each
yes.
other, hyping each other up,
Now go ahead and
you
say
know. They're just jerking
it.
each other off, you know. Like, oh, you're so cool, bro. No, you're so cool, bro. I don't know. That is just so lame to me, and especially in a band that,
Like you
like,
don't need to do it.
yeah, and where they start, dude, like give what you get. You would never have anything like that on that
Right.
album. And then now suddenly and I know it's your boys and you want to, they feature you on stuff and you feature them on stuff, but
Hmm.
good God, that is lame. That is so lame.
Oh man.
But yeah, and then also I hate his little bullshit singing line there. That always drives me nuts. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll sit there and you do that for me live. You tell me that's not auto-tuned, you
Right.
fucking
Right.
asshole. Like, yeah, that's I don't know, that just always drives
Oh
me
my
nuts.
gosh.
You see those people on like TikTok all the time or something that's like my band's new song, and the vocals always sound exactly the same and it's always some auto-tune shit. I'm like, yeah, that dude doesn't sing like that at all. But yeah, I'm sorry. I will just keep going
Rant's
down
over.
the tangent. Yeah. Oh God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Get me out of
Well,
here.
well, let's talk about car wreck, Josh. Want to? Even
Yeah.
better.
I guess.
Uh, 2015 would be a year that would change the band members' lives forever. While on tour in November 2015, the band would be involved in a head-on collision with a tractor trailer on their way to a show in Mesa, Arizona. The crash would kill both drivers, while the Ghosts Inside members Jonathan Vigil, Zach Johnson, Andrew Takazik, and two others were hospitalized in critical condition. Josh, this sent shockwaves through the scene. 2 months after the head on collision, vocalist Jonathan Vigil would post his first update via Instagram since the accident, where he stated his injuries, announcing he had sustained a fractured back, damaged ligaments, and two broken ankles. God. But that overall, he was grateful to be alive. Good Lord. My ankles are broken. He has broken his ankles. Surely they are
Dude,
broken.
he's so dramatic about that too. My ankles are broken.
Right. Oh man.
um
Unfortunately, though, Josh, for drummer Andrew Takazik, his update via Instagram would not be as positive as he announced that the accident had resulted in him losing one of his legs following an initial 10-day coma. Yes, Josh?
Yeah, dude, he got the worst of that.
Brutal. Oh, yeah. Brutal.
Um, yeah, and like his story is pretty cool. Like how he was just like how he comes back from it, he uses like those kicks that it's like a double kick and a single, like on the up and the down you get
Okay.
the hit. So, and I've like seen one of those be used like in person. They're pretty cool. But I wanted to mention before we got too far away from it. It's actually not on a Memphis Mayfire album. It's on a Sleeping with Sirens album,
Even
and
better.
it's the song "Congratulations," which I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever heard that song,
Ooh.
but it
No.
is terrible.
Do I want to listen to it? No.
I mean, you should
No.
because it's
No.
terrible, but
No, I don't want to listen to it. I don't want to listen to it.
it's so cringy.
Obviously, Josh, there was uncertainty whether the band would be able to make a comeback, persevering through the physical and mental injuries. But in March of 2016, during its annual live stream lineup announcements, the members of Van's Warped Tour would surprisingly announce that the following year would showcase The Ghost Inside, an unprecedented move, announcing a band a year ahead of scheduled time, which has never occurred before. Kind of interesting, but all right. Unfortunately, by the following February 2017, the band was still not up to the task and would have to cancel, leading the head honchos of Warped Tour to promise to hold on to the band spot for a future performance. But Josh, that spot would never happen. But why? But why? Because Van's Warped Tour would end the following year. Dun, dun, dun.
And I think we all know, probably for the best.
Probably for the best. Overplayed. Overplayed.
Well, dude, that is like the smallest reason. It was just a breeding ground for fucking older guys to be preying on super young girls. Like, yeah, all the stories I've heard come out of Warped Tour, like, dude, none of those people, there were no background checks on anybody that was like working there, like
Yeah.
techs, and yeah, I've heard it like
Cheap
just
labor.
terrible.
Not good. Not good. Fans
But
still
we have so much nostalgia for Van's Warped Tour, Curtis.
bring it back. Bring it back. Fans still wondered if the members would ever be able to return from their hiatus, as each passing year brought less confidence than the one before. All I could think of was the time that Dallas Taylor had his ATV accident. Will they ever come back? Was this the end of it?
No, the Ghost
And I'm
Inside did come
and
back.
I say, and I'm still wondering it to this very day. Searching for some sign of activity, fans will be given the news on April 30th, 2018, that the band had recently practiced together for the first time since the accident, and that quote, yes, there is a future. Less than a year later, in January 2019, the band would post a picture on social media of the members in studio working on new music. They would also announce that their first concert since the crash of 2015 was set at the Shrine in LA, California, which sold out in 4 minutes and would be forced to move outside to accommodate more people, turning it more into a festival style setting. The future, though, was still uncertain for the band, as at this time, vocalist Jonathan Vigil would announce to the crowd during the set that he was unsure if this would be the last The Ghost Inside show or if they would play more in the future. But in August 2019, they would announce their plans for several one-off shows in the following year of 2020. That's funny. Stressing to the fan base.
So did a lot of people.
Yeah. Stressing to the fan base that they would not be going on tour. We're just doing one-offs. We're not going on tour. Once again, like all the other bands we've talked about, Josh, COVID-19 would shut down the music world.
Free hot dogs for life. No drinks. I can't do it. I'm sorry,
I can't do
guys.
it. Can't do it.
Can't do
What was that from?
It's the other guys.
Oh, that's right. That's right. As most bands would decide to hold on to new material until they were able to tour in support of it, the Ghost Inside decided to carry on with their plans to release a new album in June 2020 entitled The Ghost Inside from Epitaph Records. My thing is, because we've mentioned it before about some of these bands getting to 2020 about to have a release and then they decide, oh, we're going to hold on to it because we want to tour in support of it, such and
Yeah.
such. But with a band like this that hasn't been able to tour since 2015, they've they really haven't been doing anything because of the wreck. Now you got this album. It's like, we're probably not even gonna go, on a tour anyway right now. But it's like, let's just go ahead and throw this thing out there. So I think it
Yeah.
was the right move for them. But produced by Will Putney and Jeremy McKinnon, this is the first album for new guitarist Chris Davis. The album peaked at number 141 on the Billboard 200, number 14 on the US Top Rock Albums, and number 4 on the US Hard Rock Albums chart, while also finding success in Germany and Australia, peaking at number 6 and number 5 on the Obzile Top 100 and ARIA charts, respectively. It was said that in writing and recording this album, the band intended to channel the sound of their 2010 album, Returners. What do you think, Josh? Returners? The Ghost Inside album? Do they sound the same?
Returners. By who?
Their sophomore album.
Oh, okay. I thought you were having me compare like a different
Wow.
band.
No. No.
Okay, I can see that. Um, yeah, because their first album is always going to be the most like I feel like rooted hardcore album.
Yeah, I'd
And
agree.
then yeah, okay. I mean, I hadn't thought that listening to it, but I mean, I could definitely see that.
Okay. Nice. The decision to self-title the album came when no other suitable suggestions could be found, as the band explained that their original intent was to choose a title which accurately summarized the events the members had gone through in the previous 5 years. But nothing satisfactory came to mind. You and I have had a discussion not so long ago about bands doing self-titled albums, especially late in their discography. It's kind of like, yeah, if you're gonna do it, would kind of like you to do it, maybe like the first album or first EP or something. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
still don't feel.
yeah,
I get what they're trying to do, but I still I still don't feel good about it this late in the
yeah.
game. You
With
know.
their situation, I don't really mind it
Okay.
because yeah, it's like, they're coming back. This is like a
Right.
so yeah, I don't know. And also it being we would have to look at that sometime and see if a lot of the times when a band does a late they name one of their albums, it's a self-titled late in the discography, if that signals kind of like a new era for a
Yeah.
lot of bands. Like even if that's not what they're trying to put out, if to us it's the start of like kind of something new. So yeah, I mean for them it definitely feels that way.
It
But
immediately raises flags for me when I see it personally.
yeah,
So it's like, oh boy, here we go.
yeah,
When preparing for the album, vocalist Jonathan Vigil told Spin that the long hiatus between albums, coupled with the band's car wreck, meant, quote, "We knew we had to really deliver on this record. We couldn't sell anything short, and we had to give it all 110%. Naturally, most fans and critics would assume the album would be fully connected to the car wreck, but bassist Jim Riley would set the record straight, saying the album, quote, "isn't about what happened to us. We don't get lost in that one day. This is about our journey, our growth, and who we are. Adding that the band, quote, embraced being pissed off and let it pour out through some of the most aggressive and pointed lyrics we've ever had. Fun fact for you, Josh, here the album artwork, if you are familiar with it, is actually a collage of images of fans' tattoos dedicated to the band. Think
Okay.
about that one next time you look at it. Sam Holden of punknews.org wrote in a review of the album and what followed directly after the band's car crash, stating, quote, in the years since, the ghosts inside have become something of a metaphor for triumph over adversity. Their music, despite its innately aggressive nature, had always been infused with positivity, and listening back to their discography at this point is an undeniably affecting experience. The song is now retrospectively burgeoning with an even greater emotional weight that one doesn't often encounter in the genre. That brings us to this, their comeback, self-titled album. Opener 1333 starts unapologetically with a roared TGI from the ashes, brought back to life, against Machine Gun syncopated riffs and Jim Riley's rumbling bass. This pretty firmly sets out the stall for the album's tone. It is one of robust defiance. The next track, Still Alive, sees the band bellowing the song title in unison, along with posse bomb lyrics from lead vocalist Jonathan Vigil. The old adage he delivers of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, never having been more accurate in making the band's resolve even clearer. With other song titles such as Aftermath, Phoenix Rise, and Begin Again, it's clear the accident has provided a deep well of creativity for the band to draw from. Musically speaking, the riffs are huge slabs of metallic power, with all members driving forward as a unit to deliver real impact through breakdowns and choruses alike. The guitar tone is spot on for the style, thick, textured, but with enough grit to stay well away from the pitfall of sounding too polished that many of other metalcore bands fall into. There are, however, swaths of melody and lead guitar hooks too. The rhythm section are simultaneously tight and dexterous, whilst feeling completely unified with the rest of the band throughout. On reflection, the Ghosts Inside are maybe more accurately a hardcore band who have managed to capture and evoke more fragile emotions. Not something many others are capable of, or in most instances, would even attempt. There are a lot of dissenters of this style of metal slash hardcore in the world today, it's fair to say. But using this record as a yardstick, it's clear that when done well, this is a genre that still has so much to give. At points, the Ghost Inside managed to remind me of counterparts, Stray from the Path, Knocked Loose, and even occasionally A Day to Remember at times. Not least, Make or Break, which actually features Jeremy McKinnon, who claims co-production credit for the song as well. Hey guys, I got a great idea. Why don't you feature me on a song again? Because once wasn't enough, right, Josh?
This
But
guy.
yeah, but ultimately they still sound first and foremost like the Ghosts Inside. Zach Johnson and Chris Davis's guitar work encompassing the brutal hardcore and more subtle, twinkling post-hardcore aspects equally convincingly. I listen to a lot of this kind of metalcore or whatever you want to call it at this point, and whereas most bands excel in one area, the Ghosts Inside have managed to raise all aspects of their game to an equally impressive level, and the result is something endlessly listenable. Some people will rail against the fact that it's not your typical tough guy hardcore approach, but that's absolutely key to this record's success. I'm not sure many bands could summon much optimism, determination, and such an anthemic, fist clenching collection of songs from something so harrowing. Between this band's members, the broken bones, days and comas, limbs lost, and surgeries undergone probably reach into three figures. Yet the experience has galvanized what made them a good band before and turned them into a great band. Songs on this album include 1333, Still Alive, The Outcast, Pressure Point, Overexposure, Make or Break, Unseen, One Choice, Phoenix Rise, Begin Again, and the finale, Aftermath. Josh, how did they do, in your opinion, on their quote unquote comeback album 2020 self-titled?
I think this is probably as strong as you can come back after like a lot of things in the genre changing, them being out for 4 years, the wreck. I can't imagine them coming back with anything that was any more than this. Um, it's all there, like all the pieces are there, but there is something in there that makes a lot of these songs sound the same.
Well,
And
let me
there's
let me
some
ask you on
standouts.
yeah. Let me ask you like I take the example of what the reviewer said, the like the phrasing of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There feels like there's
Right.
a lot of kind of like cheesy, overplayed lyrics. And I get like the context of it. I get it, but it's just like, come on, man. Like how original is this?
I know, yeah, it feels repetitive in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The riffs are there though. There's a lot of really
Yes.
sick
Yeah.
riffs, a lot of great breakdowns. Um, and yeah, it's tough. It's hard to sit here and just bash this album when it's their like comeback album from, an accident where they all almost died.
Yeah. I feel obligated to buy it.
Right. And it's
Oh
it's
man.
interesting. A lot about it is interesting. The
Yeah.
the album artwork, I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I it's starting to get to a place where, yeah, I just don't listen to it much anymore.
Well,
Um, I mean, the
this,
next
this,
album starts getting really digital,
mhm.
and I don't know.
Following suit though, man, with today's metalcore,
Yeah,
you know. But yeah,
just
I
like
was kind of interested to
starting
see
to
what you thought
lose
about
me.
that. Yeah. Uh, let's get to that new album, Josh. Let's talk about it. You want to? You want
Okay,
to?
yeah,
Let's
let's
do
do
it.
it.
Okay. The day of the album's release was a triumphant day, but it also came with some concerning news as Rashad Jackson of the band Bracewar would bring accusations to light about bassist Jim Riley using a racial slur against a tour bus driver back in 2015. Now, initially,
Oh,
the band would,
cool.
yeah, I know, right? Initially, the band would distance themselves from Riley as they removed him from the band. However, Josh, sometime later, the band made it known that they had reinstated Riley after determining that it was the quote wrong call to remove him from the group after further
Oh,
investigating.
oh, okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Huh.
The accusations from Rashad Jackson were quickly turned around and pointed at him as he would be accused of homophobic slurs in the past. All I can say, Josh, is you get what you give, right? Right. In a way, a
I
little different.
guess this just feels like I don't know. You don't know who to believe in these things. You don't know the
Right.
story.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man. Once COVID-19 restrictions were lifted in 2021, the band would head out on tour, their first since the wreck, to perform songs from their brand new album. The band would also release a live album entitled Rise from the Ashes Live at the Shrine, which was a recording of their comeback show in 2019. Have you listened to that album, Josh?
No, the live one, no, I have not.
Okay. I'm about to sneeze. Maybe not. I only asked that because we were talking about Zay Live earlier. I wondered, I wonder if he's listening to this one. Of course, it's a live at a venue and everything, so he's probably not gonna like that.
Yeah.
Didn't meet the Josh requirements. The
Right.
next few years would be spent back out on the road touring while also writing and recording a follow-up to their self-titled album, the recently released 2024's Searching for Solace from Epitaph Records. This This first part is concerning to me, Josh. We got 4 different producers.
Yeah, it's a problem.
That's a problem. Daniel Bronstein, who's done work with Volume, Silent Planet, Veil of Maya, Dayseeker, Spirit Box, Silverstein, among others. You also have Cody Quidstad of the band Wage War, Carson Slovic, and Grant McFarlane, who has done work with August Burns Red and Bloodywood. Why some 8 producers, Josh? What the heck? Why? I don't know. Over the top. Lyrically, Josh, the album deals with COVID-induced isolation, grief, loss, and the gut-wrenching sadness that comes with losing someone close to you. What? What?
I don't want to hear any more material about COVID. It was all every comedian talked about for like 2 years. Like I'm over it. Yeah, it happened. We were all there. We
We
were all
all
there.
lived through it.
Yeah, I'm over it.
And
I don't
it's
need I
like
definitely
4
don't need
years
to hear
ago.
an album about it.
Yeah. 4 years after the fact, by the way. I mean, come on. Sam Law of Kerrang.com wrote a review of the brand new album stating, quote, in many ways, the ghosts inside have been searching for solace their whole careers. But there has been no shortage of strife to suffer, no lack of obstacles to overcome. Never before has that search felt as urgent. However, as it does on the indomitable Californians' spry 6th album. People talk about difficult second album syndrome, but it's nowhere near as tough as finding the purpose and meaning to follow up your first record back after career defining time away. Nearly 9 years on from the New York or New Mexico bus crash that would change their lives forever, the 4 since 2020's definitive self-titled return, it's a challenge they seem to relish here, not buckled by the weight of collective trauma, but galvanized by it, celebrating the wild ride they've been on rather than lamenting roads not taken. Sweeping open or going under sees them set out their stall. Its self reflective examination of internal psychology could have descended into metalcore cliche. Instead, it brings hopeful tones and punky propellant momentum. Death Grip immediately counters with crushing heft and a chest beating, pit ready chorus. Don't need a lifeline, I've got a death grip. Light years and secret broaden the palette a little more, injecting synths and layering on gent style 6 strings like latter day Parkway Drive while maintaining a distinctly the Ghost Inside flavor. Importantly, that expanded stylistic breadth always feel like the product of searching for solace's affirmative mindset rather than artists reaching to stay relevant. Moments in the album's accessible midsection, like the clean choruses of Wash It Away or Cityscape's balladish grandstanding, which have rankled with fans if featured on their comeback. Here, though, they legitimately feel like the sounds of a band moving forward. Of course, Searching for Solace isn't a record that's aiming for heavy music's cutting edge. Subtle, game changing as it may be for its authors, there's nothing here that'll put off long term listeners. Hell, the reversion to gravely machismo on later tracks, Wrath and Reckoning, feels almost like fan service. From this band that's absolutely fine. Oh, from this band, that's absolutely fine. There we go. A few short years ago, it seemed the story might have been cut short. So there's pleasure in just seeing them be the ghost inside. These days are numbered. Sweeping closer, breathless spells it out. So keep on screaming until our hearts break. After all these years, it's still worth hanging on every word. Songs on this album include Going Under, Death Grip, Light Years, Secret, Split, Wash It Away, Cityscapes, Earn It, Wrath, Reckoning, and the finale, Breathless. Josh, should they have stopped after their self-titled?
I mean, From an artistic standpoint, yes. From a financial standpoint, no.
We need
Um,
money.
yeah. Um, in that interview, I heard you say he said something about it being like there being like some punky stuff about the album. And I feel like punk is one of those so overused terms to describe anything in music. Because I hear people say it all the time. And especially in relation to this album, I'm like, what's punk about it? It's not the message. It's not the riffs. It's not the fact that they don't have a bassist. What about this is punk? Like, I don't know. I hear that so much. And when I heard you say that, it just like, oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. I'm like, I hate when people say that. I'm like, okay, well, show me what you mean, because I cannot see it.
Show me punk. Eh, eh.
Yeah, I mean, my overall take on this album is that it's way too digital, and this is the direction that everybody's gone, and within the genre, everybody's okay with it. Like I was watching an episode of Downbeat the other day, and I can't remember who he was talking with, but they were talking about how they just started using like some of that stuff a couple years ago. The band he was talking to had just started using it, and like everybody seems just totally cool with that, which I hate. Like just bring
Yeah.
somebody in to play synth. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't
Mm.
have to be essentially like a EDM show with instruments now.
But are you okay with the digital sound though? I mean,
If
you're saying have a synth player.
there's at least a keyboardist, I'm more okay with it.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to do
Every
it.
band is required. We will the government is going to start sending out keyboardists every metalcore band.
Yeah.
Government issued
Yeah,
keyboardists.
standard issue government
Right.
keyboardist.
Oh my gosh, man.
Uh
What do you think about the I mentioned it earlier. I feel like it's kind of a I give it a 75-25 split of unclean versus cleans. Maybe a little more, maybe 60-40.
yeah,
I mean, they're adding that. I don't know who's doing the cleans. I don't know if it's like the guitarist, maybe. I wondered maybe if you knew, but
I'm not
I didn't know
sure.
off the top of my head. Um, Not really a fan of it. I mean, he's good. He's good. Whoever it is, I mean, they got good, clean vocals, but I'm just not. It's not what I came for, you know? I was spoiled by the first half of the Ghost Inside, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Their discography. So it's like, I don't want you to change it up now, you know?
And it
But
always feels like to me that a band eventually goes to a lot more clean vocals to be more accessible. And that's
right,
just kind of aggravating. Like, it's hard to sit here though and like just dump on it too much because at the end of the day, this is all a business, you
right.
know? Like, we're going to sit here and criticize it as art because it's not, you know, the food in our mouths or the money in our pocket. So it's hard to, take that stance and say, oh yeah, well, who cares if they're more accessible? They care because they have
Yeah.
to make money.
More
They're putting
accessible
all of
equals
their
money. Yeah.
time into this, like this is their
Right.
job. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna try to look at it more as it's an album or a style that doesn't work for me.
Right.
Like I don't enjoy it. It doesn't work for me. But I mean, it's clearly working for them. This album just came out and many of these songs have millions of listens.
Sheesh.
So,
Yeah.
and this I mean this is the direction, like we said, that the genre has gone. So, you know, that's
Be gone.
I think it's just
Get out of my
getting
sight.
to a place where like I'm just not the biggest fan of newer metalcore.
Right. Yep.
So,
I agree, man.
but yeah, I mean, stepping back and looking at it just objectively, yeah, I think this album's put together well. I can see why it's doing well so far. I think a lot of people were probably craving a new Ghost Inside album.
I will
And now
say,
they're also appealing to a lot bigger audience than they were before.
right. I will say I am very happy that they throughout their discography, they've kind of stayed in that 30, I'm going to say 34 to 38, 39 minute range on every single album. And I feel like a lot of bands, like by the time they get to like this last album, that album would be like 40, almost 50 minutes long because you're adding too many songs to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, thank God that they didn't do that because even like these last two albums, although they're probably my two least favorite from the band, they were easy listens to because each song was almost like 2 minutes long. And that was it. And they just, I mean, they go, 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 and the album's over before you know it. Not that I was like, oh, thank God the album's over, but it's just like it's an easier listen to rather than sitting there going, God, it's 50 minutes long. It's like,
Right. And there's three
you
or
know,
four tracks in there that, yeah, just put you to sleep because
right,
they never should have made the cut.
right. Yep.
It needs to be about quality. Like, I
Hmm.
don't care if I get an album that's 8 songs or 20 songs, but I want every one of those to, I don't want to skip any of them.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah.
I agree, man. Well, Josh, final thoughts on the brand known as the Ghost Inside.
I mean, I think we're of one mind that the first half of the discography is the stronger part.
Hmm.
But, you know, they've clearly showed that like nothing's going to stop them here. Like they're going to
No.
keep pushing forward. They're going to keep,
Hmm.
performing at this caliber. And I think, you probably still get a few good albums out of them. They're not, most of these guys aren't too old.
Yeah.
So I think we could definitely get another couple albums out of them. I think it'll probably continue to trend more digital like this, but
Right. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see like 5, 10 years down the road what the genre of metalcore is going to look like. You know, does it
yeah,
continue to go in this? How does it develop? You know?
yeah, for sure.
Well, the current lineup as it sits today is Jonathan Vigil on vocals, Zach Johnson on guitar, Chris Davis on guitar, Jim Riley on bass, and Andrew Tkazik on drums. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @IsSurvivedByPro for news and the latest episode postings, not just on this show, but our other shows as well. We have the History of the Course After Hours podcast, where I sit down with my good friend and avid listener, Eric, and we talk about some of the bands me and Josh have already discussed. In a fun little interview style. We also have the Red Right Hand podcast, which has covered all 6 seasons, soon to be a movie of HBO's Netflix/BBC's hit show, The Peaky Blinders. And we also have the Throne of the Dragon podcast, the king of this production company, I'd say, which is covered season 1, soon to be season 2 of HBO's House of the Dragon. And in the off season, we are going chapter by chapter of George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood. And that didn't work out too well.
It's coming, my friend. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming. Winter's coming. Also, while you're on Twitter, make sure to follow my co-host, Joshua Lynn Gary. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review and write us a comment on whatever podcast service you're using. Ooh. And if you want to listen to us and see us smiling faces, head on over to our YouTube page. Just search Is Survived by Productions. And that'll have every episode from all of our shows. Subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up the video. All right. Until the next episode where we're talking about the band from, I almost say California, from Canada. We're heading back. We're invading again.
Going back?
A quick little invasion into Canada. So look out. We're talking about the band Protest the Hero. Until then, we'll see you.